The meeting room on Luna was unlike anything Jin Woo had expected. The walls were made of a metal that seemed to absorb light, making the room feel both modern and ancient at the same time. Large windows looked out at Earth, which hung in space like a blue and white jewel. But Jin Woo could see that Earth was different now. Massive orbital platforms surrounded the planet, and the space between Earth and Luna was filled with more ships than he could count. President Kyung-Soo Han entered the room with two other humans. Jin Woo recognized the president from old news broadcasts, but the man looked different now. He moved like a soldier, and his eyes were harder than before. The humans with him wore uniforms that Jin Woo did not recognize, with symbols that looked like Earth surrounded by stars. Ambassador Park, President Han said as he sat down across from Jin Woo. It has been a long time since the council sent someone to speak with humanity. 7 years, Mr. President, Jin Woo replied. 7 years since humanity left galactic civilization. 7 years since galactic civilization threw humanity out, one of the other humans corrected. She was a woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. I am Admiral Song Yu-jin, commander of the Terran Defense Forces. The third human was younger, maybe 30 years old. Dr. Woo Jae-sung, director of strategic planning, he said by way of introduction. President Han folded his hands on the table. Ambassador Park, my advisors tell me that the galaxy is in trouble. The hegemony has conquered nearly half of all inhabited worlds, and the council cannot stop them. That is correct, Mr. President, Jin Woo said. The situation is desperate. That is why I am here. To ask for our help, Admiral Song said. It was not a question. Yes, Jin Woo admitted. The council formally requests military assistance from the Terran Alliance in stopping hegemony expansion. Dr. Woo leaned forward. The same council that voted 847-3 to expel humanity now wants our help? Jin Woo felt his face grow warm with embarrassment. The situation has changed, Dr. Woo. The galaxy needs humanity's strength. President Han was quiet for a long moment. Then he asked, what does the council offer in exchange for this help? Jin Woo had prepared for this question. Full restoration of humanity's council membership. Permanent seats on the Security Council. Favorable trade agreements for all human worlds and... He paused. An official apology for humanity's expulsion. Admiral Song laughed, but it was not a pleasant sound. They think we still want to join their club? Admiral, President Han said quietly, and Song became silent. Ambassador Park, the president continued, humanity has changed in the past 7 years. We are not the same species that begged for acceptance in galactic civilization. We have grown stronger, more unified, and much more capable. Jin Woo could see evidence of this all around him. The Luna facility was clearly new, and built with technology that seemed decades ahead of what the council possessed. Through the windows, he could see construction projects on a scale that defied imagination. The council recognizes that humanity has advanced significantly, Jin Woo said carefully. That is part of why we need your help. Dr. Woo activated a holographic display in the center of the table. It showed a map of the galaxy with red areas marking hegemony territory. Our intelligence suggests the hegemony will control 60% of the galaxy within 6 months. Is that accurate? Jin Woo was surprised that humans had such detailed information. Yes, that matches our projections. And the council military response? Admiral Song asked. We have approximately 800 ships of various classes, Jin Woo admitted. The hegemony has over 5,000. The three humans exchanged glances. Jin Woo could not read their expressions, but he sensed they were communicating in some way he could not detect. Ambassador, President Han said finally, humanity appreciates the council's offer. However, we have conditions. What conditions? Jin Woo asked. Admiral Song stood up and walked to the window. Complete military autonomy. Human forces will operate under human command with human objectives. The right to establish human law enforcement in any territory we liberate from the hegemony, Dr. Woo added. Guaranteed human control over all technology we use in the liberation effort, President Han continued. No sharing of human military secrets with council forces. Jin Woo felt overwhelmed. These conditions went far beyond what the council had authorized him to accept. I will need to consult with the council leadership. You have 24 hours, Admiral Song said, still looking out the window. After that, our offer expires. Why the time limit? Jin Woo asked. President Han smiled, but like Admiral Song's laugh, it was not entirely pleasant. Because in 24 hours, the hegemony will launch their final assault on the Council core worlds. After that, there may not be a council left to negotiate with. Jinwoo felt cold. How do you know about the hegemony's plans? We know many things, Ambassador, Dr. Wu said. We have not been as isolated as the galaxy believes. That night, Jinwoo sent an urgent message to the council leadership. The response came back within hours. Accept all human conditions. We have no choice, but Jinwoo already knew the answer would be yes. The council was desperate, and desperate people accept whatever terms they can get. The next morning, he met again with the human leadership. The council accepts your conditions, he said. President Han nodded. Excellent. Admiral Song will coordinate with your military leaders. Dr. Wu will handle logistics and intelligence sharing. I will communicate directly with Council Leader Velthara. When can human forces begin operations? Jinwoo asked. Admiral Song turned from the window with a smile that made Jinwoo feel much better. For the first time, it was a genuinely pleased expression. Human forces are already in position, Ambassador, she said. We have been preparing for this day for 7 years. In position where? Jinwoo asked. Dr. Wu activated the holographic display again. This time it showed the Centauri sector, where hegemony forces were gathering for their assault on the Council core worlds. Our first fleet is currently in hyperspace. Approaching the hegemony staging area, he said. They will arrive in approximately 6 hours. Jinwoo stared at the display. How many ships in your first fleet? 1,237 combat vessels, Admiral Song replied casually, as if she was discussing the weather. Jinwoo felt dizzy. The entire council military had fewer than 800 ships, and this was just one human fleet. How many fleets do you have? He asked weakly. That is classified information, Ambassador, President Han said, but I can tell you that the first fleet will be sufficient to handle the immediate hegemony threat. What do you want me to tell the council? Jinwoo asked. President Han stood up and walked to the window. He looked out at Earth, where billions of humans lived and worked in the most advanced civilization the galaxy had ever seen. Tell them that humanity is coming home, he said. Tell them that we return not as the junior partners who left 7 years ago, but as the guardians of galactic civilization. He turned back to Jinwoo. And tell them that the hegemony's reign of terror ends today. Jinwoo left Luna with a message that would change the galaxy forever. Humanity was returning to galactic civilization, but they were returning as its masters, not its servants. Behind him, the greatest military force in galactic history, prepared to remind the universe why humanity had once been feared as much as they were respected. The hegemony had conquered half the galaxy by preying on the weak and divided, but they had never faced an enemy like humanity united and prepared for war. They were about to learn the difference. The emergency alarm echoed through the council chambers as delegates rushed to their seats. Outside the great windows, they could see refugee ships arriving every hour. The ships were crowded with aliens fleeing from hegemony attacks. Some ships were damaged and leaking air. Others were so packed with refugees that people were sleeping in the hallways. Council leader Velthara looked older and more tired than ever. Her blue skin had turned gray and she moved slowly to her speaking platform. Around her, only half the seats were filled. Many species had already been conquered by the hegemony. Others had left the council to try to make their own deals with the enemy. The situation is worse than we feared, she announced to the remaining delegates. General Shin will give us the military report. General So-Young Shin stood up. She was a small alien who looked like a furry cat that walked on 2 legs. Despite her size, she was one of the best military minds in the galaxy. But even she looked defeated today. The hegemony now controls 48% of known galactic territory, she said. Their fleet has grown to over 5,000 ships. Our intelligence suggests they have new weapons that are more powerful than anything we have seen before. She pressed a button, and a large screen showed a map of the galaxy. Red areas showed hegemony territory. Blue areas showed council space. Green areas were neutral or independent worlds. There was much more red than blue. At their current rate of expansion, the hegemony will control the entire galaxy within 2 years, So-Young continued. Our military forces are not strong enough to stop them. An alien that looked like a giant crystal spoke up. What about the Arcturus Federation? They have a strong fleet. The Arcturus Federation is protecting their own worlds, So-Young replied. They will not help us unless the hegemony attacks them directly. Another alien, this one resembling a floating jellyfish, asked, "What about hiring mercenaries?" "We have tried. Most mercenary groups are either already fighting for the hegemony or are too expensive for us to afford." The chamber filled with worried voices as aliens discussed their desperate situation. Some suggested surrendering to the hegemony and hoping for mercy. Others wanted to evacuate to the far edge of the galaxy. A few talked about making a final stand at the Council homeworld. Then an old alien stood up. He looked like a walking tree with silver bark and golden leaves. His name was Elder Thrum, and he was one of the oldest beings in the galaxy. When he spoke, everyone listened. "There is one option we have not discussed," he said in a voice like wind through branches. "What option?" Felthara asked. "The humans." The chamber became completely quiet. No one had spoken seriously about humanity in years. Most aliens tried to pretend the humans had never existed. "The humans left us," said the crystal alien. "They made it clear they wanted nothing to do with galactic civilization." Elder Thrum made a sound like laughing, but sadder. "We left them. We threw them out because we were afraid of their strength. Now we are dying because we lack that strength." A young alien who looked like a blue horse stood up. "Even if we wanted to ask for human help, they would not answer. They have ignored every message we have sent." "We have not tried hard enough," Elder Thrum replied. "We have sent automatic messages and formal diplomatic notes. We have not sent a real ambassador with a real offer." Velthara thought about this. She remembered Ambassador Hyunwoo and his final words. This council wanted to see what the galaxy would look like without humanity. "Soon you will find out." They had found out. Without humanity, the galaxy was being conquered by bullies and tyrants. "What kind of offer could we make?" she asked. Elder Thrum's golden leaves rustled. "Full membership in the council, not as junior partners but as equals. Military authority to fight the hegemony as they see fit, and—" He paused. "An apology." Many aliens made sounds of protest. Some said it was beneath their dignity to apologize to humans. Others said humanity would never accept such an offer. But the sounds of protest grew quieter as more refugee ships appeared outside the windows. The aliens could see the reality of their situation. Pride would not save them from conquest. The vote was closer than anyone expected. By just 37 votes, the council agreed to send an ambassador to humanity with an offer of full partnership and a request for military aid. The choice of ambassador was obvious. Jinwoo Park was the nephew of the last human ambassador to the council. He was young, smart, and had always argued for cooperation between species. If anyone could convince humanity to help, it would be him. Jinwoo accepted the mission with mixed feelings. He knew it was probably hopeless. Humanity had made it clear they wanted nothing to do with galactic politics. But he also knew that billions of lives depended on him trying. "What exactly am I authorized to offer?" he asked Velthara during his final briefing. "Everything," she replied. "Full council membership with veto power over military decisions. Favorable trade agreements. Territory rights for human colonies. Whatever they want within reason. And if they ask for things that are not within reason..." Velthara looked out the window at another refugee ship limping toward the station. "Then we consider them anyway." Jinwoo's ship was the fastest in the council fleet. It was called the Diplomatic Venture, and could travel from the council center to human space in 3 weeks. But even that seemed too long when new reports of hegemony attacks arrived every day. During the journey, Jinwoo studied everything he could find about humanity. Most of the files were old from before the humans left. But they painted a picture of a species that was stubborn, independent, and very good at fighting. He also studied reports from Commander Yongho's monitoring station. The reports suggested that humanity had not been idle during their 7 years of isolation. They had built something big, but what? "Ambassador, we are approaching the edge of human space," called his pilot, a young alien who looked like a blue dolphin with arms. "Any response to our communication requests?" Jinwoo asked. "Nothing, sir. The humans are maintaining complete communication silence." Jinwoo was not surprised. Humanity had ignored all previous attempts at contact. But this time was different. This time the galaxy was desperate enough to offer them anything they wanted. "Keep trying," he ordered. "Send the message on all frequencies. Tell them the council requests permission to enter human space for urgent diplomatic discussions." They waited for an hour with no response. Then 2 hours. Jinwoo began to worry that the humans would simply ignore them and force them to turn back. Then something appeared on their sensors. "Ambassador, there is a ship approaching," the pilot said. "It is very large." Jinwoo looked at the sensor readings and felt his mouth fall open. The approaching ship was bigger than anything he had ever seen. It was longer than the Council's largest space station and radiated power like a small star. "Are you detecting any weapons?" he asked. The pilot checked his instruments. "Sir, the entire ship appears to be a weapon." A voice came over their communication system. It spoke in perfect Council standard, but with a human accent that Jinwoo recognized from old recordings. "Council vessel Diplomatic Venture. This is Captain Haewon Kim, of the Terran ship Incheon. You are ordered to follow us to the designated meeting area. Do not deviate from the prescribed course." Jinwoo activated his communicator. "Captain Kim, this is Ambassador Jinwoo Park of the Galactic Council. We request permission to enter human space for urgent diplomatic discussions." There was a pause. Then Captain Kim replied, "Ambassador Park, your request has been noted. Follow us." The Incheon turned and began moving toward the inner human systems. Jinwoo's ship followed, dwarfed by the massive human vessel. "Ambassador," his pilot whispered, "look at the sensor readings." Jinwoo looked and saw something that made his blood run cold. The space around them was full of ships. Hundreds of ships, all human, all larger than anything the Council possessed. They had been invisible until now, hidden by technology the Council did not understand. "How many ships do you count?" Jinwoo asked. The pilot checked his instruments several times. "At least 300 in this area alone, sir. And the readings suggest there are many more throughout human space." Jinwoo realized that humanity had not spent 7 years hiding in isolation. They had spent 7 years preparing for war. The question was, war against whom? As they flew deeper into human space, Jinwoo began to hope that the answer might be war against the hegemony. The galaxy's last hope was about to find out if humanity was willing to save the people who had thrown them away. 7 years had passed since humanity left the galaxy. For most aliens, life had returned to normal. The prices of goods had come down after other species learned to trade with each other. New cargo companies had formed to replace the human ones. The galaxy seemed to work just fine without humans, but some aliens remembered the humans and wondered what they were doing. Commander Yong-ho Nam sat in his monitoring station at the edge of human space. His job was to watch the border between human territory and the rest of the galaxy. For 7 years, he had been sending reports about what he could detect from the human systems. The reports were always the same: massive construction, strange energy readings, and complete silence from humanity. "Anything new today?" asked his assistant, a young woman named Yoon-bi Kim. She had been working with him for 3 years and had never seen a human ship leave their territory. Yong-ho looked at his instruments. Same as always. Huge energy spikes from the asteroid belt around Earth, radio signals that we cannot decode, and gravity readings that suggest they are building something very big. "How big?" Yoon-bi asked. Yong-ho shook his head. "Bigger than anything we have ever seen. The gravity readings suggest ships that are the size of moons." This was what worried the few aliens who still paid attention to humanity. The humans were building something in secret, but what? Deep inside human space, Dr. Mi-kyung-oh was working on technology that would have amazed the aliens who had expelled humanity from the Council. Her laboratory was on a space station that orbited Jupiter. The station was one of hundreds that humans had built since coming home. "Doctor, the new engine design is ready for testing," said her assistant, Jinwoo Lim. He was holding plans for a fusion drive that could push ships faster than anything in the galaxy. Mi-kyung looked at the plans. The engine was beautiful in its simplicity. While aliens had spent thousands of years making small improvements to their technology, humans had started over completely. Without the restrictions of Council treaties, they could try ideas that had been forbidden before. "Test it on the prototype ship," she said. "If it works, we can start building the real engines." The prototype ship was called the Busan. It was smaller than the warships humanity was building in secret, but it was still bigger than most alien vessels. When they tested the new engine, the Busan accelerated to 30% of light speed in just 10 minutes. No alien ship could go that fast, but speed was only one advantage humans were developing. In another laboratory, Dr. Hyun-soo Park was working on armor that could stop any weapon the aliens possessed. The armor was made from materials that had been discovered in the asteroid belt. materials that only existed in the high radiation environment near stars. The test results are excellent, Hyun-soo told his team. A direct hit from a council plasma cannon barely scratched the surface. His assistant, Sora Kang, asked, "What about the new hegemony weapons?" Hyun-soo smiled. "We tested those too. The armor held." This was important because the hegemony had been very busy during the 7 years since humanity left. Without human interference, they had conquered dozens of worlds. They were now the strongest military force in the galaxy, stronger even than the Council. General Bae Hyun-ko was the leader of the hegemony military. He was a creature that looked like a giant spider with the head of a shark. His people came from a world where only the strongest survived, and they believed that conquest was the natural way of life. "Our spies report that the Council is too weak to stop our next advance," he told his officers during a meeting on his flagship. The ship was called Dark Victory and was the largest warship any alien had ever built. "Which sector do we attack next?" asked his second-in-command, a female of his species named Zara Kith. "The Centauri sector," Bae-hyun replied. "It has 12 inhabited worlds and good trade routes. The Council has only 50 ships to defend it." Zara Kith looked at her tactical display. "Our intelligence says the humans used to protect that sector. Without them, it will be easy to conquer." "The humans are gone," Bae-hyun said with satisfaction. "They ran away like cowards when the Council expelled them. They will never be a problem for us again." He was wrong about that, but he would not learn the truth for several more months. Back in the Council chambers, emergency meetings were becoming common. Every few weeks, another star system fell to the hegemony. The Council military was not strong enough to stop them, and member species were starting to panic. Council leader Velthara was older now and moved more slowly than before. The stress of watching her civilization crumble was taking its toll on her. "We have lost the Rigel system," reported General So Young-shin, the Council's top military officer. "That makes 43 systems under hegemony control." The chamber was much emptier than it had been 7 years ago. 200 alien species had withdrawn from the Council, rather than risk being conquered. Others had simply been destroyed by the hegemony. "What about our request for help from the Arcturus Federation?" Velthara asked. "They refused," So Young replied. "They say they will defend their own territory but will not help us fight the hegemony." An alien in the back of the chamber stood up. He was from a species that looked like walking trees. "What about asking the humans for help?" The chamber became very quiet. No one had spoken about humanity in months. "The humans expelled us," said another alien. "Why would they help us?" "We did not expel them," the tree-like alien replied. "We expelled ourselves. We threw away our strongest ally because we were afraid of them." Velthara raised one of her arms for silence. "The humans made it clear they wanted nothing to do with galactic civilization. They have not responded to any communication attempts. Maybe we have not tried hard enough," suggested the tree-like alien. This started a long argument. Some aliens thought asking humanity for help was a good idea. Others thought it was useless or beneath their dignity. The argument went on for hours without reaching any decision. Meanwhile, on the edge of human space, Commander Yong-ho was detecting something new. "Yunbi, come look at this," he called to his assistant. She hurried over to his station. "What is it?" "Ship movements," Yong-ho said, pointing to his screen. "Lots of ship movements inside human space. It looks like they are gathering their fleet." "How big is their fleet?" Yunbi asked. Yong-ho checked his readings again. He had to check them 3 times because he could not believe what he was seeing. "According to these readings, they have over 1,000 ships, and some of them are—" He paused and checked again. "Some of them are the size of small moons." Yunbi stared at the screen. What are they planning to do with a fleet that big? Yong-ho did not know, but he had a feeling that the galaxy was about to find out. In his report that night he wrote, "Human fleet activity suggests major operation in preparation. Recommend immediate alert to Council leadership." But by the time his report reached the Council, it was too late to matter. The hegemony had launched their biggest attack yet, and 3 major Council worlds were under siege. The galaxy was burning and humanity was still silent, but their silence was about to end. Dong-hyun Choi stood on the bridge of the warship New Seoul and watched the biggest movement of people in galactic history. Through the large windows he could see hundreds of ships flying in perfect lines toward Earth. Some ships were as big as cities. Others were small and fast. All of them carried humans going home. The operation was called Homecoming. Every human in the galaxy was leaving. Every human building was being taken apart. Every piece of human technology was being packed up and moved. "Admiral, we have a problem at the Kepler-7 colony," said his helper, a young woman named Bora Han. She stood next to his chair and held a small computer that showed him reports from across the galaxy. Dong Hyun looked at the screen. Kepler-7 was a mining colony where 50,000 humans lived. The local alien government was trying to stop the humans from leaving. They said the humans owed money and could not go. "Send the Third Fleet to Kepler-7, Dong Hyun ordered. "Make sure our people get out safely." "Yes, sir," Bora said and sent the message. This was happening everywhere. Some aliens tried to stop humans from leaving. They said humans owed them money or had signed contracts to stay. Other aliens tried to take human technology before the humans could pack it up. But Dong Hyun had prepared for this. He had more than 2,000 warships protecting the evacuation. Any alien who tried to stop humans from leaving would have to deal with the human military first. On the planet Centauri 4, Dr. Ji-hye Yoon was making sure her team left nothing behind. She was a scientist who studied alien life. Her laboratory had important research about diseases that could kill humans. She could not let aliens get this information. "Burn everything," she told her team. "If we cannot take it with us, destroy it." Her workers threw papers into fires. They smashed computers and poured acid on hard drives. One of her helpers, a man named Tae Sung-oh, was using a hammer to break apart a machine that could make new medicines. "Doctor, some aliens are here," said another worker. "They want to talk to you." Ji-hee walked outside. 3 aliens stood near her building. They looked like large birds with 4 arms. Their leader spoke through a translation machine. "Dr. Yoon, we ask you to leave your research. Our people are sick with the red fever disease. Your medicines could save them." Ji-hye felt sad for them. The red fever was a terrible disease. She had been working on a cure for 2 years. But she had her orders. "I am sorry," she said. "All human research must be destroyed or taken with us." "I cannot leave anything behind." The alien leader made a sound like crying. "Please. Thousands of our children will die without your help." Ji-hye thought for a moment. Then she walked back into her building and came out with a small bottle. "This is the cure," she said. "I give it to you as a gift from one doctor to another. But the research notes and machines must be destroyed." The alien took the bottle with all 4 hands. "Thank you. We will remember this kindness." After the aliens left, Ji-hye finished destroying her laboratory. She felt bad about it, but she understood why it was necessary. Humans were leaving the galaxy, and they could not let their enemies learn human secrets. In space, reporter Tae-hyun Lee was documenting the evacuation for the human news networks. He flew in a small ship between the evacuation fleets, filming the massive movement of people and ships. "This is Tae-hyun Lee reporting from the Vega system," he said into his camera. "Behind me you can see the last human cargo ships leaving Vega 3. The colony that took 50 years to build is now empty. The humans have taken everything with them, even the power generators and water purifiers." He turned the camera to show a planet that looked brown and dead. A few days ago it had been green with human farms and cities. Now it looked like no one had ever lived there. "The aliens are calling this impossible," Tae-hyun continued. "They say humans cannot move so many people so quickly, but they are wrong. In just 3 months, humanity has evacuated over 200 worlds. The evacuation fleets are working day and night." As he spoke, a massive ship flew past his small vessel. It was so big it blocked out the stars. The ship was carrying an entire city that had been taken apart piece by piece. Inside were 1 million humans heading back to Earth. Back on the New Sol, Admiral Dong Hyun was reading reports from across the galaxy. The evacuation was going faster than planned. His people were working like they had never worked before. They knew this was the most important thing they would ever do. "Admiral, message from Earth Command," Bora said. "They want to know if you need more ships." Dong Hyun smiled. "Tell them we have enough ships. Our problem is not ships. Our problem is that we have too much to move." This was true. Humans had built a lot in their 300 years in galactic space. They had cities on 200 planets. They had factories on moons and asteroids. They had space stations that were bigger than most alien ships. Moving all of this was like moving an entire civilization in just a few months. But humans were doing it. Some aliens tried to help. The Arcturus people, who looked like tall blue humans, offered to store human belongings until the evacuation was finished. But human leaders said no. Everything had to come home to Earth. Other aliens tried to take advantage. Pirates attacked human cargo ships thinking they were easy targets. They learned quickly that they were wrong. Human cargo ships had military escorts, and human military ships did not play games with pirates. "Admiral, the pirates in the Rigel system have been eliminated," reported Commander Jaewon Park. He was in charge of escort duty for the cargo fleets. "How many pirate ships?" Dong-hyun asked. 37, sir. No human casualties." Dong-hyun nodded. Word would spread quickly that attacking human evacuation ships was a very bad idea. As the months passed, the galaxy began to feel the effects of the human departure. Human cargo ships had carried goods between alien worlds. Human traders had connected markets across space. Human factories had made products that aliens needed. Now all of that was gone. Alien cargo ships could not keep up with demand. Prices for basic goods started going up. Some planets that had depended on human trade began to have shortages of food and medicine. The Council met several times to discuss the crisis. Some members suggested forcing humans to stay. Others wanted to negotiate a deal to keep human trade ships operating. But it was too late for negotiations. Humans were committed to leaving completely. "The last human evacuation ship has left Council space," Bora reported to Admiral Dong-hyun. They were now in orbit around Earth, looking down at the blue and white planet that was humanity's home. "How many people did we bring home?" Dong-hyun asked. 247 million humans, sir, plus all their belongings, all their technology, and all their animals." Dong-hyun looked out at the space around Earth. It was crowded with ships and space stations. The human population of Earth had doubled in just 8 months. But somehow they were making it work. "What are your orders now, Admiral?" Bora asked. Dong-hyun was quiet for a long time. Then he smiled. "Now we get ready." "Ready for what, sir?" "Ready for when we go back out there," he said. "Because someday we will return to the galaxy. And when we do, things will be very different." The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was filled with noise. Hundreds of alien beings talked, argued, and made strange sounds that passed for speech among their kinds. The air smelled of different atmospheres mixed together, creating a scent that made humans feel sick after too long. Hyunwoo Kim stood at the human speaking platform. His hands were steady, but his heart was beating fast. He had been Earth's voice in this place for 15 years. Today would be his last day. The platform was made of white stone that came from a planet humans had never seen. It was smooth and cold under his hands. Around him, the aliens sat in their special seats. Some needed water to breathe. Others glowed with their own light. A few were so big they needed multiple seats. Sumin Park walked to his side. She was his helper and had worked with him for 10 years. Her face was pale and her hands shook as she gave him the paper. The paper contained the words that would change everything for humanity. "Are you ready?" she whispered in Korean. Hyunwoo nodded. He looked at the paper but did not need to read it. He knew every word by heart. The council leader was a creature called Velthara. She came from a race that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. Her skin was blue and seemed to move like water. Her voice was deep and made the floor shake when she spoke. "The council will now hear the charges against humanity," Velthara said. Her words were translated into every language in the galaxy by machines that floated in the air. A tall, thin alien stood up. His name was Zixtar, and he came from a planet where they grew crystals instead of plants. His people thought humans were dangerous animals who should never have been allowed to join the council. "Humans are too violent," Zixtar said. His voice sounded like breaking glass. "They fight when they should talk. They take sides in wars that are not their business. They refuse to follow the rules that keep peace in the galaxy." Other aliens nodded. Some made sounds that meant they agreed. A few hit their seats with their hands, claws, or tentacles. Zixtar continued. "The worst example is their refusal to leave the Kepler system. The council voted to make it a neutral zone. This would bring peace with the hegemony. But humans said no. They said they would not abandon their people there. The hegemony was a group of planets that wanted to control more and more space. They were strong and had many ships. The council was afraid of them and often gave them what they wanted to avoid fighting. "Humans think they know better than the council," said another alien. This one looked like a giant flower with eyes. "They think their way is the only way. They cannot be part of a civilized galaxy." More aliens spoke against humanity. They talked about human colonies that refused to pay taxes to local alien governments. They mentioned human traders who sold weapons to planets the Council said should not have them. They complained about human ships that came to help when other species were attacked, even when the Council said to stay away. Hyun-woo listened to it all. He had heard these complaints before. Some were true, some were lies. All of them missed the point. When the aliens finished talking, Velthara looked at Hyun-woo. Does humanity wish to respond to these charges? Hyun-woo stood up. The hall became quiet. Even the air machine seemed to make less noise. Yes, he said. Humanity has a response. He looked around the hall. There were over 800 alien species represented here. Most of them had voted to kick humanity out of the Council. They thought humans were too dangerous, too wild, too different. The charges against humanity are mostly true, Hyun-woo said. This surprised many aliens. They had expected him to argue. We do fight when others would talk. We do help people even when we are told not to. We do refuse to abandon our colonies just because it would be easier for the Council. He paused and looked directly at Velthara. We do these things because we believe they are right. We believe that the strong should protect the weak. We believe that keeping peace by giving bullies what they want is not real peace. We believe that some things are worth fighting for. The hall was completely quiet now. Even the translation machine seemed to pause. The Council has made its feelings clear, Hyun-woo continued. You do not want us here. You think we are too different, too difficult, too dangerous. You may be right. Velthara raised one of her forearms. The Council votes now on the expulsion of humanity. All in favor? Lights appeared above the seats as aliens voted. Red lights meant yes, kick humanity out. Blue lights meant no, let them stay. Green lights meant not sure. The count appeared on a screen. 847 red lights, 3 blue lights, 12 green lights. The vote is complete, Velthara announced. Humanity is expelled from the Galactic Council. You have 30 days to remove all human presence from Council space. Hyun-woo looked at the numbers. Only 3 species had voted to keep humanity in the Council. He wondered which 3 they were, but it did not matter now. He picked up his papers and put them in his bag. Then he walked to the center of the speaking area where everyone could see him clearly. The people of Earth accept this decision, he said. His voice was calm and clear. We thank the Council for making our choice easier. This confused many aliens. What choice was he talking about? Humanity withdraws not just our membership in this Council. We withdraw our presence from galactic space entirely. We are going home. The hall erupted in noise. Aliens talked loudly to each other. Some stood up. Others made sounds of surprise. Velthara hit her desk with a large stick to make everyone quiet. What do you mean, going home? Hyun-woo smiled, but it was not a happy smile. Every human ship, every human station, every human colony outside the Sol system will be evacuated. We will leave nothing behind. No technology, no buildings, no people. When we are done, it will be as if humanity never existed in galactic space. That is impossible, said Zixtar. You have millions of people on hundreds of worlds. You cannot move them all. Watch us, Hyun-woo said. He turned and walked toward the exit. Su-min followed him. As they reached the door, Hyun-woo turned back one last time. This council wanted to see what the galaxy would look like without humanity. Soon you will find out. The door closed behind them. In the hall, aliens argued about what had just happened. Most thought it was an empty threat. Humans were too spread out, too established to simply disappear. They were wrong. Within hours, every human ship in the galaxy received the same message. Operation Homecoming begins now. Come home. The Great Withdrawal had begun.